Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Thank you for joining us. This is the Ask the Expert session related to Digital Breakout 133. It's a continuation of the conversation, how to activate digital selling from raw data to insights. We thank you greatly for your patience with the technical issues that we had this afternoon. We are going to do our best to give you a little more insights, go over some of the content, and have a great conversation about the wonderful information that Luca was sharing with you earlier. I am Sharon. I'm going to go over some of the housekeeping items, and then I'll turn it over to Luca and team to go into more of the content. So real quick, how to engage with our experts today. Please chat your questions in the text box. The questions will appear to the attendees once they have gone through our moderation process. You'll have the opportunity to vote for your favorite questions using the thumbs up icon. Our experts will answer questions back to you verbally and over chat. We will also be providing you with some additional resources so that you can continue to learn and find out more information about this topic. We'll also be sure to provide you with additional viewings of this session and an additional Ask the Expert opportunity. A friendly reminder that this session is being recorded. We ask that you help our moderators by not spamming and repeating your question in the chat. We are doing our best. We also ask that you keep your comments clean and do not post inappropriate information. Lastly, we ask that you adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct. That Code of Conduct is posted in the chat, and I'm showing it here. Please take a moment to review. As a reminder, we are, as I said, recording this session. Please do not photograph or video this session on your side. And with that, I will hand it over to Luca and our experts to introduce themselves. Luca, would you like to start?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So my name is Luca Macchetti, and I'm part of the Dynamics 365 product marketing team. And yeah, this is not exactly the way we were thinking about like how to run this Q&A session, but basically, so the main focus of the session was around like basically a window into the ways Dynamics 365 can help organizations tackle the challenge of this new world made of data to really help companies and customers thrive. And basically 90% of the session was like I was planning to show demos of the real products, real features. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to go through those 4 or 5 slides that I prepared. They were basically meant to be an introduction to the demo. So I believe the best way to move forward is trying to make this the next 25-30 minutes as interactive as we can do. Like we have a few very good experts here who can basically go through most of your questions.
Hello, this is Chris Stedman. I'm on the worldwide enablement team for business applications, focusing specifically on sales and marketing.
Hey there, Renato Leite here. I'm Dynamics 365 Global Sales Director for sales, sales insights, and customer voice applications.
Hey there, everyone. It's Max Cogliano. I'm also on the worldwide sales enablement team with Renato and Chris. My responsibility is Dynamics 365 Commerce and Connected Store.
Hopefully you can all see my screen. So basically what I was planning to show is what we refer when it comes to the to activate digital selling. And I was like planning to go through both a B2B scenario as well as a B2C scenario. And for each scenario, both B2B and B2C, the main idea was to understand together what was the main story and then the challenge that we're trying to solve, and then clearly the solution through thanks to Dynamics 365. And again, let me quickly go through this story. It's a super simple story. We were basically we're telling the story of Contoso, who's a leading manufacturer of deluxe coffee machines and sell both B2B and B2C. And in this scenario, for B2B, we were thinking to show what is going to happen when Contoso is deciding to launch a new line of professional intelligent coffee machines that are enabled with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So clearly here, the main challenge is that Contoso is seeing a decline in revenue and brand loyalty. So they're releasing this new intelligent coffee machine, but they're struggling to understand who they should target. So the point here is to, we were going to showcase how this can be implemented and modeled through Dynamics 365. And to get a little bit more in details, we decided to break down this entire story into into multiple sections. And for each section here, you see, we were able to understand, so what is the main actor, the main persona for each section, and what is the challenge that is associated to each section. And I'm not going through each of the sections, but you know, as you see, it's a whole story that goes from starts with this idea of creating this unified representation of customer information, and then how we can seamlessly transition and integrate from this unique representation of customer information, this 360-degree view of customer information, and how we can enable a marketing organization to use this actionable insights. So we were going through the world of this marketing organization and how to orchestrate customer journey, how to organize digital events through thanks to Dynamics 365. And as a result of this effort, how we can generate and track high quality leads at scale, and how we can break the silos between the marketing world and sales world to be able to, from a marketing organization perspective, to provide all of the information that the sales organization will need to follow up with leads, to be able to nurture the relationship with potential customers. And then we will transition to sales. And at the end of this flow, we will try to understand what did we learn in this process? How can we get better the next time? How, thanks to all of the information that we have been gathering in this process, how we can get better. And this is what we were going to discuss in this proactive management section. And then again, everything starts like from the very beginning, but with this new actionable insights. And then again, we have seen what are the challenges for each stage. Clearly here we will quickly discuss what are the benefits that we can gain with Dynamics 365. And let me quickly transition to the next slide just to show you, so what is the product truth beneath the story that we're trying to quickly sketch here. So in other words, how a customer can, in the real world, can use Dynamics 365, various product and features in Dynamics 365 to basically being able to get what we're trying to, being able to realize, to implement, to model what we're trying to describe here. So you see, we will basically, for each section of this customer journey, of this Activate Digital Selling journey, we're able to understand what is the main product that we're going to use, as well as what are the main features that will allow us to highlight each specific section. And again, unfortunately, from this point, what I was trying to showcase is basically real environment, real demo, so the real products that will allow us to basically to see what you see in this slide. So I don't know if there are questions so far. Yeah, let me quickly go through, and then I'll stop at the end of the B2B section. So basically, again, so here the idea is to be able to understand for each specific section of this Activate Digital Selling journey, what Dynamics 365 can bring to the table, and how everything that we will see is going to seamlessly be integrated and seamlessly flow from the very beginning of this customer journey to the very end. For example, if we start with this idea of this creation of a holistic view of customers, what we can see is that clearly here the hero product that we want to highlight is Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. That is going to help, in this case, Contoso, more in general, your customers to standardize customer data from all sources to create this unified and enriched customer profile. And here you see like specific steps in this, specific stages in this section, and how are we able to map each specific section that will allow Contoso to create this unique representation, this 360-degree representation of customer information, thanks to Dynamics 365 Customer Insights. Let me go. Let me quickly show you again the next step here is that as soon as Contoso, as customers are able to create this unique representation of customer information, the next step is to answer to the question, how can we get actionable insights out of all of this data? How can we extract value out of this unique representation of customer information? And again, the answer here is customer insights. So the first stage ideally ended with this idea of creating of this unique representation of customer information. Here, what we're trying to showcase is how can we extract value using things like how can we create KPIs? How can we create specific segments? How can we activate insights? And probably most importantly here, the last stage of this section is all about how can we enable, how can this comes to life in the day-to-day business operations? How can we export, for example, segments of unified customers to LinkedIn ads, to Facebook Ads Manager, to LiveRamp, and specifically in this example, we will see how, well, I was hoping to show you how can we export what we've been creating so far to Dynamics 365 marketing to use for marketing organization account-based outreach. And again, this flow can clearly is going to evolve in a way that we will now we're now going to see how we can use and leverage all of the informations that were generated in customer insights, the segments generated in customer insights to target the right customer. How can we help the marketing manager in Contoso to deliver the right message to the right customer using the right channel? And clearly here, the main point is, well, first of all, being able to make sure that through Dynamics 365 marketing, the marketing manager is able to create this multi-channel awareness campaign, creating a new landing page to create buzz that has a clear call to action and links to detailed information, as well as the ability for the marketing manager to create an email to inform people about the new models, about what what is the content of the campaign. And an interesting aspect here when it comes to how can we go from raw data to insights. Again, here we're able to use and to perform A/B testing to maximize the effectiveness of this specific channel, the emails, because we're able to understand, thanks to the information that we get, that we can extract from the results of this A/B testing, what is the right content for for a specific segment. So again, this whole idea of how we go from raw data to actionable insights, the same goes for segments, where we can leverage all of the segments created in customer insights, this unique representation of information created from customer insights. And we can enrich this information, for example, with the information related on the propensity to churn of the participants in this segments. Again, how do we go from raw data, just a list of contacts, to actionable insights, just adding and enriching information, just like the propensity to churn. And again, the ability for the marketing manager to first of all, to create all of the pieces, the segment, the messages, the channels, and then the ability with a visual tool to tie them all together. So to create this customer journey for this new product, to automate the process of sending this personalized email. And as a very important channel that we would love to showcase here in the customer journey is clearly the ability of creating digital events, organizing digital events. And it's the ability here to, first of all, to create and manage events, to spread the awareness of this new product, and to, as an important aspect of this process, how can we send surveys to event attendees to capture and analyze feedback. Again, we see here, how can we go from collecting raw data, just like surveys at the end of digital events that we will send to attendees, and then analyze the survey insights, and, for example, automatically generate leads based on survey responses, right? So we can analyze the responses to specific questions that are parts of the surveys, and based on the analysis, we can create automatically leads that will we will nurture. So again, how do we go from raw data, just like plain text, plain answers, to actionable insights? And as the last stage of this flow within the marketing organization, how can we track high quality leads at scale? How can we use lead scoring to understand when a score is quote unquote ready? Every time the lead responds to a marketing activity, the score is incremented by a specific number of points, and at some point we can understand thanks to lead scoring how warm, if a lead is warm, is hot, what is the degree of what is the situation of that specific lead. So we can track marketing activities again, and then at the end of this stage we're able to hand off to create specific notification to sellers in order for them to be able to follow up with leads. And again, here this section here is of particular importance, because it will allow organization just like Contos in this case to break the silos between marketing and sales. So create the creation of leads generated in this marketing world and seamlessly transfer to the sales organization to be able for them to follow up. And let me quickly conclude this just to give you a couple of the details about what's in there for the seller, for the sales organization. So it's when it comes to being able to nurture the relationship with customers, to being able to be very specific in understanding how to nurture the relationship with the customer. What is the next best step that is specific for that customer, for that opportunity, that will allow the sales organization to get better and to improve the chances of closing that specific opportunity. And here we have thanks to Dynamics 365 Sales and Sales Insights and the integration with LinkedIn Sales Navigator and Teams, we're really able to, first of all, proactively understand what is the health of the relationship with a specific customer on a specific opportunity, and to track what's going on in the real world for that customer thanks to LinkedIn. If something changes, we can proactively understand if something changes for the customer, maybe that change has an impact on the opportunity that the seller is following. Maybe I can take advantage, or I can proactively do something to compensate if what is gonna change in the real world has an impact on the opportunity. And we can use use teams to collaborate for the sellers to collaborate with people in their team to understand how we can join forces to get better in nurture the relationship with customers. And quickly on the other side of the spectrum here, what if we're sellers at Contoso, for example, that they need to, they need a way to eliminate guesswork and efficiently go through the list of engagement. What if they have a huge amount of opportunities and leads, and here the problem, it's not really going through and nurture relationship with each specific customer, but the main idea is more to being able to quickly understand what is the next best action for that customer, for that opportunity, how we can move forward, how we can leverage a set of predefined touch points, a set of predefined things to do for that specific opportunity that have proven to work. So again, this is what we're trying to show here in velocity selling, and then how we can what we can learn from everything that we have seen so far, how we can understand what is the impact of this process on specific forecast for sellers. How can we understand, thanks to integration with Power BI, how can we understand what is that is really influencing, for example, revenues for a specific team, and act on it. And how do we act on this information? We can use Assistant Studio to generate action cards for a specific team, for sellers, with information on how to best position specific products, thanks to the insights that we get here. This is like really in a nutshell what I was hoping to cover in a very different way for B2B. And let me stop here for a moment.
So Luca, we do have one question here. In Sales Insights, will we also have first-party voice channel to conversation intelligence?
I don't know. I think I need Renato's help on this one.
Yeah, no problem. So first part channel for conversation intelligence is not yet there. However, a conversation intelligence will process calls from any source. So if you have any record place from any vendor, as long as you can extract the recordings and send it over to Azure, we can process those calls and correlate to the Dynamics records. We have ways to simplify this process. We have ISP partners that will connect directly to the source and move those calls directly to Azure for processing. But so we are pretty open to any vendor.
Awesome, that's great. And we did have another question earlier, and we'll try and get this done as our final question before we head out. So it's difficult now to ask questions. However, how will the lead qualification change in Dynamics? Is it possible to qualify from Teams? How can we target a persona? Technically, what is a persona in Dynamics? For example, I know that from marketing, I can send emails only to contacts. Is this going to change?
All right, so let me take this one to, I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
And Renato, this is Chris. We did try to supply a little bit of an answer to Sabrina on her question on there. So Sabrina, feel free to follow up if we haven't given you the right answers yet either. But yes, we can see that screen.
Okay, so in any case, as Chris comment on the question, it's we have several questions in one, but pretty much you can do account-based marketing in Dynamics 365 marketing application. However, of course, once you create the segments based on the accounts, it will pull your contacts because the email should be targeted to a specific contact. And from there, the process is the same as normal contact-based marketing, where from those segments you're gonna send those through a journey. From those journey you can score your leads, and when the moment come, you can just push it into Dynamics 365 Sales, integrating the marketing and sales processes into one. Once you have this inside Dynamics 365 Sales, the leading scoring will take place that will consider all the metadata and information that you collect from the sales campaign, including the lead scoring from the marketing side, and will help you identify your top leads through machine learning. This lead qualification process will then be used by your inside sellers, your field sellers, to understand details of those leads and better qualify them through the normal qualification process inside Dynamics. Or because we can have any record attached to Teams, it's also possible to add your leads in target view that you have, or specific leads to Teams, to a Teams channel, allowing your team to collaborate on that lead and qualify from there in the same way. And for that, you'll be able to use all Dynamics 365 Sales capabilities like lead scoring, relationship health, assistant, who knows whom. So all those features will be incorporated to the lead record to allow you to properly qualify this lead. And everything that you do inside Dynamics 365 marketing or sales, because they're all part of the same common data service, you can have this data unified using customer insights and enhance it through machine learning, like to find additional interest, brands, or calculate specific scoring. And from those scoring, you could create new segments easily. and say, okay, so I want only specific accounts or contacts or leads to retarget based on the results from the machine scoring result analysis, and that will feed back to Dynamics 365 marketing, and you can keep your campaign running. So it comes full circle from the lead generation to lead qualification and generating new leads from there. I hope I have answered the question. If you have follow-ups, please let me know.